Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Guys, did things escalate quickly today in Europe? In particular, Ukraine and some domestic issues in France. Well, let's talk about this, guys, and let's see if we can tie it all together as in one event rather than separate events that are not connected. Let's talk first about the incident that's happening in France. Then let's skip to Ukraine and then back to France, and then how those two are connected and how this will at some point inevitably be happening on the streets of the UK. Sorry, guys. So what's been happening in France then? So in France there was a criminal called, let me get this right, guys, because I don't want to miss it. Where is it? Yeah. So a criminal who was being sent to prison by the name of, allegedly called Mohamed Amra, nicknamed The Fly. His prison vehicle was ambushed by two gunmen with automatic weapons. They shot two guards, they've set him free, and they're on the loose in France. So that's what's happened in France. There's a manhunt on at the moment for the two gunmen. We'll come back to that afterwards, guys, and I'll tie that into how that's got the Ukraine connection and how things are going to happen potentially I feel how things are going to happen like that in the UK. So what's been happening in the Ukraine front? Well, guys, honestly, there's been like new events and new updates every 30 minutes or something today. It's absolutely insane. So today at what time are we on? Almost 7 o'clock. There's a mass of Russian troops gathering in one of the northern regions, northern or southern region, depending if you're in Ukraine or Russia. But the Russians are gathering troops above Sumy, S-U-M-Y, Sumy, I think it's called. So the Ukrainians are saying there could be a big incursion coming down there, and that would be in line with cutting off Kharkiv and causing more chaos in the east of the country. Ukrainians the word for the Ukrainians, they're saying, why is there no fallback positions? Because everybody now in Ukraine is understanding that if these few key towns and cities fall, not cities really, towns, if these few key towns fall, then there really isn't anything all the way back to the River Dnipro. And remember, guys, okay, I keep saying it time and time again, the Ukrainians need to pull back all their assets, all their troops, anything with fighting capacity, behind the River Dnipro, where they can mount a tangible defense and subsequently attack. So Anthony Blinken's been in Ukraine as well, and he's giving it he's giving yada yada yada, telling people what they want to hear. The reality is, it's taken so long for this US aid package to come through. It could be June until these weapons and this ammunition gets to the front line. And by June, in fact, by the end of this week, I think you're going to see a very different landscape in Ukraine, the way things are going. It's just the reality of how hard the Russians are pushing. And there's no more men left in Ukraine. There's no more fighting battalions. There's no more brigades. There's no one else to push forwards now if the Russians open up another front. The Ukrainian military have admitted themselves they have no more reserve. Again, that may be a 4D chess move. I don't think it is. I don't think I don't think the Russians are playing when they're attacking in around Kharkiv. I think Kharkiv is their main intent. It's such a big region. There's a lot of administration there. There's a lot of military, high ranking facilities there. If you can cut Kharkiv off, you've essentially isolated it from the battle. Also, guys, while this is happening and we're all blinkered to it, Germany are now considering conscription for anyone 18 years and older. I think this has just recently come about because I know there was laws lifted on Germany literally from the Second World War, and I think they've only just been lifted. I don't see where this goes, guys. I'm not really sure where this is going. You can look at it good, you can look at it bad. I don't know. Maybe it's me being British, and I don't give too much trust in the Germans. But they seem to be good people and nice for now. But it's the First World War was the Germans. The Second World War was definitely the Germans. We're heading towards the Third World War, and could it be started by the Germans? I don't know, guys. I'm not going to. That's just me speculating. I don't want to throw dirt on the Germans. They're, we all love a Mercedes. Anyway, guys. So let's go back now to the incident in France. Remember, I did a video ages ago, and I said, is it beyond the realms of possibility that some weapons from Ukraine have been smuggled back into Europe and potentially in the hands of criminal gangs? Well, I think we've just seen it now, guys. All right, I'll put the links in the bio. Sorry, I'll put the link in the description. So what you've seen now is two people with automatic weapons who've managed to shoot through an armoured vehicle, get one of their guys out, kill two guards, and escape. This is like 20 kilometers north of Paris, in and around that area. That's the reality of the street now, guys, in Europe. These things are going to become more and more common, and we're just going to pay lip service to it, because they become more, because it happens more often. If you cast your minds back again to the Charlie Hebdo, when a similar thing happened in France, there was, again, two gunmen. People knew how to use automatic rifles, absolutely closed Paris down. The police couldn't do anything because they're not geared up for it. Now, the police in the UK are a lot less geared up for this sort of thing. Now, I know what you're going to say. We've got great firearms unit. We've got great tactical units. And yes, that's true. And that's correct. But they've never been tested. What I mean by that is the most they ever have to deal with is somebody with a pistol. And I don't care what movies you've seen, what films you've been watching or whatever. If you're standing like 50 meters away from somebody with a pistol, they're not going to hit you. 40 meters, probably not. 30 meters, maybe if they're a good shot. But the reality is, guys, criminal gangs don't get training. They don't get, they don't get to go on a range with an instructor telling them how to shoot. They don't get high intensity training by such as, you're tired, you're wet, you're hungry, your fingers don't work. You're being pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed through different scenarios, different, with different weapon systems. Criminal gangs don't get that, all right? They just don't. So the reality is they do this like sideways shooting and it's good for scaring kids and stuff. But the reality is when they come up against some police forces, who are armed, who are well trained, they're no match. But now what we're seeing a lot of fighters who can move freely around Europe. You've got fighters all over the Middle East. You've got fighters now in Ukraine. All these people can move freely now between these borders. And they can get hold of weapons because, well, we've seen it now. I'm speculating that some of these weapons will be brought back to the UK in these boats. And I'll come on to that afterwards as well. So that's what's happening now. So let's look forwards then to the Olympics. I would not go near the Olympics honestly, guys, if there's not an incident involving firearms at the Olympics, I would be very, very surprised. So what's going to happen? How does this tie into the UK? Well, look what's happening in France now, guys. They're definitely getting these weapons from somewhere. They're not buying them from Asda, all right? I can guarantee you that. So they're smuggling them in from somewhere. I believe they're weapons smuggled in from Ukraine, but you can take your pick of conflicts where these weapons could get smuggled in from. There's, you decide, guys, all right? But I've said for a long time that I believe some of these weapons are getting put on boats, the boats that cross the British Channel and English Channel, waterproofed in plastic bags, whatever, at the side of the boats. If the RNLI come out and intercept the people, then they just cut them loose and the weapons, sink to the bottom of the sea. If they don't and they get back, they've got a lot of weapons back. Now, if you know anybody who lives in Dover, Kent, Broadstairs, Deal, that sort of region, they'll tell you all the time, lots of boats come ashore that are not even stopped. So I'm confident, guys, in myself that some weapons, I don't know how many, but some weapons will have been brought into mainland UK. Now, the amount, I don't know, but I can pretty much guarantee this has happened. And this is going to be a different caliber of weapon. You're going to have things like automatic fire, which, guys, If you think the British police are gonna, react, aggressively to someone who's shooting at them with automatic fire, forget about it. That is straight away they're calling the military in. That takes time, all right? All these things take time to build up this, because yes, all right, the military, they're on what, 30 minutes notice to move? That's 30 minutes, so they have to leave the door. Then they have to get to wherever they're going. Then they have to be briefed. Then they have to put other procedures in place. It's going to be like 6-8 hours before the military get there. And, think of the carnage that can be caused in that time. So, we run a real risk at the moment of something like this happening in the UK. As you can see, it's happening in France, and it's only a matter of time, I feel, before it happens in the UK. It's definitely going to happen in the Olympics, and what you're seeing at the moment in Ukraine is a breakdown. And the more things break down, the more this equipment can be potentially smuggled out of Ukraine and into Europe. Think of the anti-tank weapons that are available in Ukraine. Think of the anti-aircraft weapons that are available in Ukraine. All these systems could be smuggled out. You could use a heavy lift drone just to fly that over the border in Poland to a place, in a random farm that's not being checked. From there, in a van, it's gone. It's in Europe. You're in the Schengen region. You can, these smugglers, they'll know how to cross borders. And these weapons can find themselves absolutely anywhere, guys, all right? And that's the world that we live in at the moment. Also, I'm just paying attention. I'm trying to find out this when Russia are doing these nuclear tests. So they're testing tactical nuclear weapons or battlefield nukes, whichever side of the ocean you live on. But I feel that at some point, these are going to be normalized, and it's just going to be on the news again, and it'll be something like, think of the things that's happening now on the news, and in 2-3 days we're just forgetting about it because the next thing's happened, and then the next thing's happened. And guys, if you don't believe we're in World War III now, when is that point going to be? Is it going to be when the Russians have taken Kharkiv, and circled Kharkiv, and the Ukrainians have had to fall back to the River Dnipro? Let's not forget the Second World War. It didn't just happen overnight, and everybody said there was in World War II. In fact, nobody said there was in World War II until after it finished. I just thought I heard a little girl shouting. No. Anyway, guys, so what I'm saying is these things are escalating in real time. We've now got a criminal threat, a criminal aspect on the streets. And remember what I said before, guys, all right? If you're a host nation, a peer nation, an adversary nation, are you going to send your James Bond guy in there with his tuxedo and his Aston Martin? Or are you just going to pay some of these criminal gangs? You're going to pay the criminal gangs. It's cheaper, it's more effective, and it's deniable. Guys, I'm going to leave it there for today, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.